Hey, what's up guys, TechTine here, and this is the Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. Real quickly, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked this video, make sure you do so. A lot of great content on this phone is coming really soon. So stay tuned, and this is basically my first thought, best thought type of video. I've had this phone for literally less than 24 hours. So stay with me. We're gonna start and talk about the design itself. Now this looks like a familiar design, so it's a refined version of the A13 5G if you ask me. No longer is a matte finish though, it does have textures on the back. And speaking of the back, you also have a triple camera setup. So the main sensor is a 50 megapixel sensor, and you also have two other sensors that act as a macro and a depth sensor. More on the camera later. And at the bottom of the back of the phone, you do have the Samsung emblem logo. So it stands out a little bit. It does have textures when you actually like try and feel the Samsung logo, so it's no longer like a kind of written there, you know what I mean? It gives it a nice look and a nice feel. Now as far as your IO and ports, on the bottom of the phone you do have your speaker, your USB-C port, as well as a microphone. And hey, 2023 we still get a headphone jack on budget smartphones, which are extra, right? I know a lot of people may not use them at this point, but hey, they're here. So if you want them, take advantage of them. And that's really great to see on budget phones in 2023. Great job, Samsung. Okay, so the right hand side also has your fingerprint sensor and your volume up and down. Listen, the fingerprint sensor works really well and it's fast, it's reliable. However, the buttons themselves though, especially for the volume up and down and the power button, they're mushy, they're not as tactile as I personally would like them. Yeah, they're not as good and as quality as the A13 from last year, which is kind of disappointment if you ask me, but that's just me nitpicking at this point. And the whole entire side of the phone is just made out of this kind of glossy plastic material, and it's definitely thicker than the A13 5G, and it's definitely heavier. More on that later. So as far as the display, this is where we get a really nice upgrade. So it may look the same, but it's not. So it's actually a larger 6.6-inch 1080p LCD IPS panel, and it does still support 9 Hz. So with the A13 5G, what we saw is that what Samsung did is they sacrificed resolution for the 90 Hz. This time around, they gave you best of both worlds. And Samsung is known for making such really nice displays, and this is no exception. So this does have a really nice and quality display. I really like it. It's not OLED, but hey, at the end of the day, just wait until we talk about the cost of this phone, because it's actually lower than the Galaxy A13. Let's flip the book and actually go back and talk about the camera. So like I said, it's a 50 megapixel f1.8 main sensor. You have a 2 megapixel macro sensor and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Now, it's kind of a disappointment. As far as I'm concerned, as far as what I've heard, is that the camera is pretty much the same as the A13 5G. I will be doing a separate camera test to see that for myself, but yeah, I wish we had some sort of a wide angle or even a zoom lens. Now, mind you that the macro and the depth sensor do help out in like a 2x zoom, but they're not dedicated zoom lenses, right? Honestly, if we had like a 5 megapixel or even an 8 megapixel wide angle lens, I think it would have set this phone to a newer heights. I think it would have made it better. But that's just me talking. Now, as far as taking pictures, and from what I see from the viewfinder, it takes some pretty solid pictures, and it's really quick and snappy to taking pictures. Of course, you have that 1x and 2x. Now, it's not a dedicated zoom lens, but like I said, the macro lens does help out with the zoom. I will be doing a dedicated camera review for this phone, so definitely stay tuned. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do subscribe for that. All right. Yeah, the camera interface, quick, fast, easy, reliable, just what you would expect from Samsung, even though that this is, at the end of the day, a budget phone. I really enjoy taking pictures with this phone just because of how quick it is. Now, as far as the specs go, here is the list. Now, I'm only going to talk about the list of the specs in the United States. So you do have a MediaTek MT6833 Dimensity 700. So it's based on a 7nm architecture, and it is octa-core, where 2 of the cores are clocked at 2.4 gigahertz and 6 cores are clocked at 2 gigahertz. Okay. As far as the GPU, the Mali G57 MC2. So also in addition to that, you do also get 4 gigabytes of RAM as well as 64 gigabytes of storage, which is basic, right? At this point, it is basic. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as the performance goes, it was quick, fast. So launching apps, opening up the web browser, looking around social media. It did what it's supposed to do. It's quick, fast, reliable. I haven't seen it crash much. Okay, but more on that later. I will be doing a more in-depth testing for my final review, so stay tuned for that for sure. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time at this point. I just want to say these final words on this phone. So the Galaxy A14 5G to me seems like a much more refined and much cleaner Galaxy A13 5G. It may not be all that different, but trust me, when you actually start to use it and that display just the display makes such a big difference. I know the camera may not be that different, but the display does make a big difference in my book. However, if you do have the Galaxy A13 5G, I'm not sure that you should upgrade to the A14. Now the starting price is only $199, which is $70 cheaper than the A13 5G. Which, listen, for that type of price, I'm not really too disappointed at this phone. I'm glad that they made a refined version, they increased the display resolution, and they brought down the price. I feel like that this is a win. So, with that being said, tell me what you guys think of this phone. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you feel like, hey, it's just a boring old Galaxy phone again? Let me know in the comments, okay?